Hey y'all, welcome back to Carbon Scoring, where we hang out and dig into the comic book history behind the action figures we love. Today's for the bad guys, specifically the X-Men's main villains. There's some pretty hard to find figures in this display, so at the end we're going to total up their value on the secondary market and see what we've got. The X-Villains sit on the top shelf of my Marvel Legends display, and as such, it's less densely packed than some of my other shelves. This is on purpose, as this diorama is meant to be seen from below. But no matter how you stack it up, there is only one man who could be front and center of this display. The mutant master of magnetism, Magneto. Look, much love to Dr. Doom, but Magneto is the most complicated villain in the Marvel Universe. He has been there from the very beginning, first appearing as the foil in the first issue of X-Men from September of 1963. Whereas Professor X's goal was for mutants and humans to live in harmony, Magneto's desire for mutant kind to assume their rightful place as Homo superior was born from his horrific childhood in Nazi concentration camps during the Holocaust. This backstory was unflinchingly told in the series Magneto Testament from 2009. We've had numerous Magneto figures over the years, including a stellar version that came in the recent 3-pack with Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. But I still prefer the original Toy Biz Marvel Legends figure. Yeah, they just slapped some extra parts on the Iron Man body from Wave 1, but look at that head sculpt, which totally maintains the comic look. But Magneto alone was no match for the X-Men, so he formed the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, first appearing in issue 4 of the X-Men. The group has changed members over the years, with perhaps the greatest version first appearing in the classic Days of Future Past storyline. My display of the Brotherhood includes an original member, the Toad, from the very first wave of Marvel Legends back in 2002. This figure was designed for a separate line as it does not have the level of articulation that became the hallmark of Marvel Legends, but it is a terrific sculpt filled with grotesque detail. Next up, we have the new Pyro from Hasbro. This figure made my 2020 top 10 based on that smirk alone, but this is a clear upgrade from the previous Toy Biz figure. Another recent upgrade is the Mystique that came as a Walgreens exclusive in 2019, with much better proportions and exquisite detail like the tiny skull sculpted into her widow's peak. This figure is a winner. One fairly rare figure in my collection is Avalanche from the X-Men Classics spin-off line in 2006. While this isn't a classic version of Avalanche, in fact, I have no idea what this figure is supposed to represent. It remains the only Avalanche figure we have, and it still goes for $100 on eBay. Rounding out, pun intended, the Brotherhood is the Blob. This Build-A-Figure dates back to 2007, and was part of a fairly unimpressive lineup, making a complete figure very coveted, easily fetching $250 to $300 on eBay. Take my word for it, it is worth every penny. Even with Hasbro's early lack of paint wash, this sculpt is horrifically detailed, giving every curling loop of cellulose a menacing weight. Oh, and I also have a custom arcade figure which will hopefully be replaced soon by an official Hasbro release. Switching to the other side of the display, we have Mr. Sinister. Originally appearing in Uncanny X-Men 221, Sinister was created by writer Chris Claremont and artist Mark Silvestri. More on him later. Creepy character, creepy figure. Next comes Wolvie's archenemy, Sabertooth. Like many of the others, we've gotten numerous Sabertooth figures, but I prefer his original look, which came from Toy Biz's Face Off 2-packs from 2006. This was the look Sabertooth had during his classic battle with Wolverine in X-Men issue 213. Towering over these two is the Juggernaut. I'm not exactly sure why I've chosen this Toy Biz figure, dating all the way back to 2004, when the much more recent one from the 2-pack with Colossus is clearly a superior figure. Other than the obvious flex that I've been collecting for that long. I might need to make a change here. Wrapping up the front row, we take a trip to the Mojoverse. This disgusting yellow pile of goop and wires is Mojo himself, and this figure is incredibly faithful to the art from its creator, the brilliant Art Adams. This Build-A-Figure from 2006 is the stuff of nightmares. The very best nightmares. His loyal henchman Spiral stands at his side. This figure came from the 2008 Target-exclusive Red Hulk Build-A-Figure wave, which means it was impossible to find, and now commands between $100 and $200 on the secondary market. But that's enough messing around. It's time to get serious with the baddest of the bad, the Sentinels. The Sentinels first appear in issue 14 of Uncanny X-Men. They were less than imposing. But they got tougher and tougher as time went on, eventually becoming a serious threat to all mutant kind. This was fully realized in the classic Days of Future Past storyline from issues 141 and 142 in 1981. The Sentinels didn't just kill mutants anymore, they wiped out all the heroes while taking over North America. So while Kitty Pryde was sent back to the past to prevent this nightmarish present, Storm, Wolvie, and Colossus made one final stand against the Sentinels. It didn't go well. I think the upcoming HasLab Sentinel figure best represents the look of these mutant murderers from this epic storyline. Oh look, Wolvie still has skin. But the Sentinels in my display come from a different artistic source. Famed British comic writer Grant Morrison took over the X-Men books in the early 2000s after the release of the first X-Men film and took the mutants in a new direction. It was equal parts brilliant and unreadable, occasionally explicit, and sometimes the X-Men fought Professor Xavier's aborted twin fetus. I'm not joking, that's a real thing. But after killing Jean Grey, again, legendary X-Men artist from the late 80s Mark Silvestri came on board for a coda to Morrison's run set 150 years in the future. As beautifully drawn as it was unintelligibly written, the Here Comes Tomorrow storyline from 2004 allowed Silvestri to showcase his own design on the Sentinels, and it was spectacular. Toy Biz must have begun work immediately, because in September of 2005, this Sentinel was released as just the second ever Build-A-Figure. I'm lucky enough to have 3 of these giants, and they tower over my X-Men villains display. The look is even more effective as they're on the top shelf, well overhead, ready to blast the flesh from our bones. So there they are, the first of multiple shelves I have dedicated to the X-Villains. Let's see how they totaled up. Not too shabby. The Blob and Sentinels are the real standouts, but Spiral and Avalanche still bring up a little change. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, check out some of my other shelf tours, including one for the heroic side of the X-Men. And don't forget to hit like and comment on what you'd like to see come up next. And hit subscribe so you don't miss any of the fun coming from Carbon Scoring.